Hello and welcome to Bizworld. The ringgit is expected to trade between the 4.09 and 4.15 band against the US dollar in the second quarter of 2019, predominantly influenced by external factors. According to FXTM, among the external factors include the strengthening of the US dollar, trade tensions and global growth slowdown that not only affect Malaysia but also broader emerging markets.
So when we look at the ringgit, it's been primarily an externally driven story. So we're looking at the US dollar resilience, we're looking at trade tensions between major developed economies, and of course we're looking at how the global growth narrative, whether that slowdown is as bad as expected. So these are some of the dominant external themes that is weighing on not just the ringgit, but also Asian currencies and also emerging market currencies as well. Now for the ringgit, though, we expect it to remain range bound going through the second quarter of this year, from about 4.09 to 4.14, 4.15 on the upper range. This is against the US dollar.
Tan expects higher oil prices to lend support for the ringgit in the second quarter. He targets Brent oil to touch $80 per barrel in June 2019. Malaysia's outlook for the year, he said, features respectable economic growth, manageable inflation and robust domestic consumption, of all of which should provide a strong base for the ringgit through 2019. The World Bank Group has maintained Malaysia's 2019 gross domestic product GDP forecast growth at 4.7%. Its lead economists for Malaysia reached a record, said mega project revivals such as the East Coast Rail Link ECRL and Bandar Malaysia will give medium-term impact on the country's economic growth.
Decisions around ECRL, Bandar Malaysia, etc. might affect the medium-term projections in that area. I think the advice that we give to countries everywhere, and that applies just as much to Malaysia, is to think carefully about project selection. And that means doing the right projects and those which have the greatest impact on growth, not just in the headline number, but also use public investment to support distributional outcomes.
He was met at the launch of World Bank April 2019 edition of East Asia and Pacific EAP Economic Update titled Managing Headwinds. In the report, World Bank has said external sectors may be negatively affected by heightened uncertainty, particularly the possible escalation of US-China trade tensions. He added private consumption would continue to be the main driver of growth, with household spending be buoyed by stable labour market conditions and income support measures such as the cost of living aid or Bantuan Sara Hidup. By 2020, the World Bank said Malaysia's economy is projected to expand at 4.6% and the country is expected to achieve high-income country status by 2024. Meanwhile, the World Bank has advised Malaysia not to be too preoccupied by its ringgit and stock market performance. Instead, the country should focus on its fundamentals, which make the country an attractive place for local and foreign investors.
I think we would perhaps suggest focusing maybe less on the stock market and more on the underlying fundamentals of the economy, and those things that make Malaysia an attractive place for both domestic and foreigners to invest over the medium and in fact over the long term. And firstly, Malaysia's starting point is a very strong one. As mentioned already, the economy is growing at a commendable rate. We see solid foundations in terms of diversified economy, a favourable geographic location at the heart of a fast-growing region, and with solid foundations.
He added the country's fiscal deficit is expected to narrow to 3.4% of GDP in 2019 and subsequently to 3% in 2020.
To 2.9%. Other headwinds.
SP Setia Berhad and Maybank have jointly launched Flex Key, a rent-to-own RTO home ownership solution that is applicable to selective new launches. Flex Key is an enhanced house key financing scheme where home buyers are able to select their choice unit and preferred location from the newly launched properties offered under this scheme, rather than being limited to completed units that are available.
At the moment, I think we are starting off with some of the landed units, okay, in our two townships in Setia Alam and Setia Eco Hill. And then depending on the response, we'll slowly expand it to include more townships and maybe more other product types also.
He added Setia FlexKey is an alternative financing scheme to help first-time home buyers, providing the flexibility of converting rentals paid as down payments towards purchasing a home at locked-in prices. The scheme is made available for a wide selection of projects consisting of SB Setia's residential properties in the Klang Valley, Johor and Penang from now until December 31st, 2019. And that's a wrap for Bizworld. I'm Ganai Ling. Thank you for investing your time with us.